All right, today on the line, we are sitting with our friend and sponsor, actually,
Yes.
Andrew Riffle from, I joke and call him the Riffle Companies, but he's a man with many things going on, two of which we are familiar with, the Sure Shot Tap House and the Whistle Stop in Ansonia, Ohio.
Yes.
The Whistle Stop, Duane.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
I don't know if we was doing it live on our interview.
I don't know if Andrew's actually, have you heard the whistle, Andrew?
Oh, definitely have. Yep.
Okay, good. Do you like the whistle?
I like it. I like
Yeah.
it. I guess as long as the fans like it.
Everybody likes it. That's funny.
That's a shame because I got to listen to the damn thing now all the time.
I said I want to walk in there sometime and just go woo woo, and everybody like, what the hell's wrong with that guy?
we try to get people to make an ass of themselves when they walk in the door at the Whistle Stop, but it hasn't worked yet, I don't think.
Yeah, we keep telling everybody to do that when they walk in the door.
So Andrew's taking some time with us today. Appreciate it. Like we said, he's got a regular job, and he's got like 25 other jobs going on. So I was lucky enough to run into you down at the Dream. We talked a little bit because you had to take vacation to work at the Whistle Stop. So what's going on with you down there in Western God's country, Western Ohio?
Oh, not too much. We're excited for another big race. The Dream's considered a major event at Eldora, but in regards to where it really gets crazy is definitely the Kings Royal and World 100. They really packed a place. Being a 4-day show this week, there's a little uncertainty when fans will start rolling in. I worked last night and we were swamped. So
good deal.
I went through St. Henry today and the campgrounds are filling in. So it's exciting. I get the same feeling you guys get when I come over that hill and just approach Eldora. It's something special about Eldora that makes it so enjoyable.
Yeah, and for you, you obviously have some ties closer than just going to the track. You worked there and helped out for a long time. It sounds like, with all the other crap you got going on, you're doing that too.
Yeah, back in the day when Earl owned it, seemed like it was always St. Henry, Ohio and Ansonia, Ohio kids. You started working there when you were 10, 11, 12. Yep. I started there when I was 12, and I pulled a radio flyer trailer or wagon or whatever they're called, and pulled hot dogs from the main concession stand down to, they had one there where the Coors Light bar is, and we took it down to the pizza stand way back in the day. A little easier to get through the crowds, but it was a great job, cash money. Earl was always good for a few laughs when he came up to get a Mountain Dew and some chicken wings. I think that guy lived on that up till he passed, but it was a good job when you're a young kid for sure.
Oh yeah, and that's one thing that they've always done, and it's kind of cool to see Tony take that tradition and keep it going. Is the young kids in the area, employing them and giving them a nice little part-time job.
Yep. Yeah, and then they also do a lot of good for a lot of different organizations, Boy Scouts and youth groups and school groups. You'll see them out there if you're woken up from your passed out state, cleaning the campgrounds and stuff, and they made a lot of money to charity. So yeah, Eldora does a lot for our area for sure, and a lot of good for the young kids.
Yeah, so you in your later years, adult life, we'll say, you were actually helping Tess or his granddaughter with ticket sales and all that stuff. How'd you kind of morph into that and get into that and stay, because you did it for quite a while?
Yeah, just starting concession stand, move my way down to pits, which was awesome. I'd stock all my area up and I'd go on top of the pit concession back then and watch all the races. So as long as I didn't run out of food, they never said a word. So stocked up, go up there. Eventually Tess pulled me into the ticket office. I was on third shift, so I'd work almost every day, especially big races. So they'd open the ticket or the office up at 9 a.m. So I'd leave my real job and sleep in a parking lot for an hour, then go in and answer the phone so she can concentrate on more important things. So a lot of race fans might recognize my voice. I dealt with I always was a guy on the phone there for many years, worked there 18 years, and about half of it was in the ticket office. So wow. a lot of interesting calls, a lot of calls from Eldora Village asking if it was raining at the track, But it was a fun job. Dealt with the suites a lot and sold program ads for the programs and just a little bit of everything. Wow. Put beer away. So on the beer days, they'd bring 3 Budweiser trucks and we'd stash all the coolers full of beer, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of cases of beer. So didn't really have any real good talents, just did a little bit of everything.
That's cool. So back to the phone calls. That sounds like it could be an interesting thing. Any good ones that stick out to you?
Oh, just on back when social media wasn't quite as big, which we think it's been here a while, but it really hasn't. I just remember the World and Dream and all the race fans calling and asking Scott Bloomquist won. Did he win? Did he win? I said, you could come. You could.
Yeah.
But no, just silly questions a lot of times. Like I said, I hated when it rained. It was a tough position to be in, whether you're Tony or Roger at the time or Larry Kemp back in the day. Eldora always, and still does to this day, makes every attempt to get to race in. But, sometimes when the fans would get frustrated, you're kind of the line of defense, and I was never privy to all the information. So that was a little tough at times, but.
Yeah.
Yeah. No
I remember those days going to a track and you call them and, are you racing? With weather being questionable.
Sunny.
Are you racing?
Sun's out.
Or well, as far as I know, we are. I haven't been told different. So keep on coming. If you're driving a few hours, that was always a fun time.
And if you ever work for, the Balduses, they have a love for the sport, but they also did it to make money. It was a business. So, we had to use our words, choose our words pretty carefully. It could be pouring out there. Nah, it seems to be lightening up, or it's just a slight drizzle. I think we're going racing type of deal. So we would never try to deter the fans from coming.
Clouds are breaking up.
Might start half hour late, but we're going to race tonight.
The sun's peeking through right now.
That's awesome.
Well, we've all been there. There's been some Kings Royals and stuff where it dumped a couple inches of rain, and you're like, no way. And it would just roll off the track, and they'd pack it in. And it might be a 3 a.m. morning, but they get it in.
I was going to say, were you there for the 4 Crown that went till sun up?
Yeah, I remember leaving. That was awful. It was like 6 a.m. I do remember that.
I just remember seeing pictures of haulers pulling out with the sun coming up on the back stretch.
There's a historical big one like that too, because I was leaving for Knoxville on Sunday. Well, that didn't happen because I didn't get home till 8 o'clock in the morning. We'll sleep, then we'll go to Knoxville.
It seemed like the UMP Nationals that they don't have anymore was always like that too. It was awful because that one was tough because you'd have 1,000 people in the pits and a ton of cars, but in the stands that event always seemed to struggle. So you'd stay there all night for maybe 1,000 fans in the stands.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was always a fun one. I know weather being in October, but weather was always like you said. Back to your point there, it's just one of those events that you just kind of had to throw off the schedule, unfortunately.
And this week, I don't know. We could have one of those nights this week. I mean, it's not that bad of chance of rain. I think the highest is 45%, but you just never know. So hopefully,
Andrew, just so you know, Duane is the worst meteorologist on the face of the earth. So do not take his word. Any race, there could be a tornado on the backstretch, and he'd say, it's going to quit raining here in like 3 minutes.
See, I would have been great. I would have been great.
Yeah, you've been great on the phones. Yeah,
that's clearing up right now. Don't mind that the fence and the light poles are ripped down from the tornado, but we'll be all right.
Yeah, we watch it pretty close too, just like you guys do. Obviously, people travel for hours to come enjoy an event. And they want to see it. So they're watching the weather, like I said, but we're watching it too because we staff very heavy for the race fans because they treat us well. But typically they start migrating up to the track. By 5 o'clock, a lot of fans already migrated up there, souvenir row, or getting their seats, or getting their coolers. So just not the 4 Crown, but the spring Outlaw show and USAC doubleheader Friday night rained out and we got slaughtered. So I did a double and the staff, we pulled through, but when there's a rain out like that, all the fans typically flock to the nearest restaurant and bars. And sometimes we're not staffed accordingly for events like that. So yeah, we definitely got on the radar. We got extra staffing in the evenings just in case that we can call off if we don't need them. But yeah, it's a little nerve-wracking sometimes.
How in the heck do you prepare for enough food and beer for those 4 days? Yeah.
Well, luckily, I'll give Tess and probably all the Balduses, she probably, learn from the best, but I take notes every year. So I know the exact temperature. I know what the weather did. I know sales from previous years. I used to have a little more inside information, which was helpful. So I'd call Tess the weeks leading up and talk to my resources there. What do you see in ticket sales wise?
Right.
So just try to use all that previous information and maybe information that I can get my hands on from Eldora management and then, hope for the best after that.
Yeah. So, we mentioned after last year, there's a big anticipation this year. Obviously, we're kind of referring to the Whistle Stop and Sure Shot Tap House down in the Eldora area. So if you're going down that way, make sure you try to go a little further south and visit one of those 2 locations. But
don't try to go.
Yeah.
Don't tell them try, Elliott. You go.
Are you going?
Hell yeah,
That's
going.
what I like to hear. the 2020 was a year from hell for restaurants in particular. Now, restaurants that rely on, a big event center right down the road, I'm sure was a little harder hit. We've always heard over the years, Eldora brings in money to the area. It's the biggest town in the county when it's fully stocked with campers and fans and such. And I guess, for you, what was 2020 like, and especially being in the restaurant industry?
Yeah, definitely a tough year. Looking back though, we were pretty blessed. The local community really rallied around us. They obviously they couldn't go anywhere either, to zoos with their family or vacations or whatever. So what we did lose race fan wise, we were able to kind of save a little bit of face with locals, but definitely a tough year. And, all business owners are in business to make money. We're not going to lie, but even more important than that was just not getting experience to race fans. Like, it's just a good time seeing them year after year. They always remember our names and our wait staff's names. Sometimes we don't necessarily remember their names, but just like the guys from Dingus Bar come down, the Kings Royal is their race vacation. So they always, you'll see them in the bar stools for hours upon hours almost every day. So it's just one example of numerous race fans that we get to know and get to enjoy. And they treat our staff, and that's their vacations. They're just wanting to have fun, and they treat our staff great, and it's obviously great for business too. So it's just an enjoyable time for sure that we greatly missed last year.
Oh yeah, I bet. Well, I plan on being there, and so the only request I have is your little pull tabs. Make sure when I walk in, the winners get to the top instead of the bottom, like the last time I was there.
Well, if you just keep buying, I think you'll find them eventually.
I tried that and it didn't work.
Yeah, Duane goes in there by himself and spends like $100 just on himself.
It was close to that the last time I was there, because I bought a shirt, bought pull tabs, and didn't win. Like, what's another $20?
Keno, you probably played some Keno.
I might have. I don't remember.
There's all kinds of stuff to do just besides eat.
I know.
That's the cool part about the Whistle Stop.
Bryce Dews was with me, so we ate, then we drank, and we're like, nope, we're driving. We're not gonna have any more beer. Oh, we'll have one more beer.
I was eating breakfast at the Dream, and Andrew can attest. I mean, it's like 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning, and people having drinks already in the morning.
Kegs and eggs.
Bush Lights, man. I'm like, holy cow, this is how it goes. So.
Hey, that's what people do, Elliott. I mean, I know you're in a sheltered world, but people do that. That's Andrew.
Yeah.
One neat thing, the last couple of years we've really been seeing, it's probably been numerous years, but Brad Sweet was in for the spring show. Obviously, Jack, Sheldon, Rico come in quite frequently since we helped them out on their cars. Larson's been in, Bell's been in, and there might be some people that I didn't even notice. Sometimes when they're out of their your element, you don't even they sit among the people, and they're gracious to the fans, and it's just neat seeing that, because I think that's one thing that we all love about dirt track racing is, they kind of remember where they came from, and they do a great job of interacting with the fans, even though at some level they're a little more famous than we all are. So.
Yeah. So I guess what lured you, and when did you take ownership of the Whistle Stop? It's been around forever. It's changed hands only a few times. For as long as it's been around, it really hasn't, it's always been a kind of monument place to stop and grab a drink and grab food while you're down at Eldora. So I guess kind of what's your, your story with the Whistle Stop?
Well, when Tony bought Eldora, and don't quote me on this, but like around 04, 05, Tess was working there. She ran the concessions with Bernice. Bernice was kind of, at that time, obviously retired. So she did it for a year or two, and I always joke with her because we're good friends, so I can say this, but told her she couldn't take money out of register no more. So she decided to buy the whistle with her brother. So they bought the Whistle Stop. They owned it for 10 years. I worked for them, worked for her there, worked for her at the Eldora. So I knew her from Eldora because I worked for her there. So she left Eldora for a few years. But after about 5 years, she actually decided to go back to Eldora and take Star, which is her mom's job, overtaking the ticket office. And that's when I kind of got back. That's when I got more involved in tickets. So her brother continued to own it for 5 additional years. And then, I was still working there. and they approached me and we started talking, and that's when I got the opportunity to purchase it in 2015. So I've owned it for 6 years now. I did Eldora for, I think it was 2 seasons, did both, and it just was too much. My workers, working their tails off. I'm sitting up at Eldora just having a grand old fancy time for $13.50 an hour. So at some point, it was just too much. So that's when I finally stepped away from Eldora. So sometimes I would help them for the World 100. They have a lot of staffing issues due to kids going back to college and school and stuff like that, football season. And but yeah, that's kind of how it came about. So
when I know, it's got a facelift since you've owned it as well. I never really went there a lot in the past until obviously we connected with you. What's kind of, been your vision of it, and, what's maybe changed once you got it, obviously the interior, and, kind of what's the Whistle Stop pizza is like freaking amazing, hard to beat. I've always heard their pizza's good. So, is there just like signature things that you've come up with and tried to kind of create and do some things different?
Well, I mean, your partner over there can probably talk about it kind of too with Napa. But when I worked at the Whistle, I always had, why don't we do this? Or, we could probably try this. And so when I first got the opportunity to purchase a Whistle, draft beer, Kino, we just were making improvement after improvement.
Yeah.
But you learn real quick, don't you, that it's not so easy when you're writing the checks and you're the owner. And
right.
So I definitely give them mad props. But just really, like as you mentioned earlier, I got a full-time job. The Whistle, we're blessed. It's a good business, but we know lies pretty much invest everything right back into it. The latest thing that you just mentioned was, the remodel, which was, a pretty significant price tag. And that was during COVID, which there's good and bad of that. Obviously, the good was we were forced to be shut down. The bad was, it was COVID. We were shut down, but it was a prime opportunity to do it. The floor was in bad shape. So that's what started was we're going to tear out the floor down to joist, re-level it, put new floor in. And then, as you're married, the scope got out. We got kind of big quick. So being pretty much a gut job, and the race fans that we have got to see so far this year, and obviously the locals who support us day in and day out, love the remodel. It's still the good old Whistle Stop. It's just freshened a bit. So
there you go. Hey, everybody gets a new wrap on their race car every year, so you just had to, put a new wrap on it. There you go.
It was a little scary. It was a little scary because you think about that.
Oh yeah.
Your business owners how are they going to react to this? Is it too much? Or because the Whistle Stop was mom and pop shop, you could call it a hole in the wall. It had a lot of character, and it still does, in my opinion. But we talked about that a lot. Like, we did not take that lightly. Like, the changes we're making, we don't want to go too crazy. At the end of the day, we're in a town of 1,100, farming community. Obviously, we talked about outdoor and tourism in the area, but we didn't want to get too crazy on, we wanted the fans and the locals to feel welcome still when they come in. And I think we pretty darn close hit it right on the head. So
I know I was impressed that last fall was the first time I ever been there, and the staff, they was excellent that day, and we had a good time, and a couple locals coming. I even seen some racing people that I knew, and there wasn't no races. There's a few people, and there's some of the locals, Bill Dews and some of them was in there, so I knew some of them. But it was pretty cool.
Yeah, sometimes it's crazy. We'll go out to the table and somebody will spike up a conversation. This is just a non-race weekend, and they'll be from 3 or 4 hours away and just they missed a pizza or the food, and they'll just kind of like what your parents do. They'll drive hours and they might drive by the track too. I don't know, but so that's cool. That makes you smile when people are driving numerous hours just to get a bite to eat and for a fun afternoon.
Yeah, and you can tell, his staff's very well, acclimated, very well trained.
Oh yeah,
because they're yelling at him usually if he's in there working. They're yelling at him to get out of the way because they got shit to do.
They was giving him a lot of. He wasn't there the day that I was there, but I was asking about him. They was giving him all kind of shit. He couldn't even defend himself. It was bad. Like, this feels like my work. It feels like when I'm gone. It's like, I think my employees trained at the same place.
The one thing that's been kind of fun, so obviously I lost Eldora, and that gets in your blood. I still go there a lot. We have a suite actually up there. Most of the events are sold. I sell to people who are, go year after year for the World or Dream and stuff like that. But try to still stay involved with racing. That's kind of my main thing. Bill Dews, you mentioned him earlier, and there's probably others around the area, but he is definitely one that has invested a lot of time and find money and back into racing.
Oh yeah.
With race teams and just being involved at the track. He's got a billboard on the front stretch. So that, I feel like that's kind of my way, is still, somewhat being attached to dirt track racing, Eldora. So that's kind of why we started, sponsoring race teams. And the cool thing about it, and this might be at all levels, but I think it's even more at the dirt track level, is the fans see it and they appreciate it, and they support you.
Yeah.
10 times over. The investment is a no-brainer. So, but yeah, we went back to Sheldon this year. Jack obviously ended up working out a deal with Rico, which is super cool, but just, it costs money. And even though he had help from us and others, he wasn't able to field a car full time. But luckily, like I said, it worked out for him. So he passed us kind of back to Sheldon, because that's kind of where we started. And Sheldon's able to have 2 sponsors on his car. That's just his. So we worked out a deal, got on his t-shirt trailer, which is his t-shirt trailer. So it feels good to be able to help a young kid out that's going to have already has had a promising sprint car career, but I really feel like he's going to be just as good as your man, Brad, with a little more time. He's right there.
Oh yeah. He just needs an ounce of luck.
Yeah. He just hasn't had a lot of luck. I think he's learned a lot. He's keeping her, off the fence. He still gives you that wild child feel from his dad, but at the same time, I think he's a little, in my opinion, a little more dialed in, and understands he's got to keep her on 4 wheels if he wants to stay in the sport for many, many years. But it's fun because I got dirt vision, I got flow. It gives you a reason to watch and to root on him and others. So it's fun to just still be involved with the sport. We do some sponsorship things at Eldora. Obviously, we're involved with you guys, which is fun. I love listening to you guys every week. So yeah, it's just fun still being involved, even though I don't physically work there anymore. Feels like I kind of do at times.
Oh, I bet, especially with the fans coming down too, and that. So yeah, I mean that's real cool, because like I said, and all the people, and that's you said, what's just cool is you get the late model people, and I'm sure some of the big shot late model guys have been in there. Like I said, you get Brad in there, and Rico and Jack, and probably some of the guys that like I said, that you don't know. And that's what's cool about that, is like I said, you got a place that they can go afterwards, kind of be in their own life, but yet they still interact with the fans a little bit, like in your own backyard or in your house.
Yep, exactly. I think the Wheel's is known for that. The Wheel's a little bit more north of Eldora. Unfortunately, it's a little different than like a Knoxville feel, where you can walk across the street, get to the watering hole. Eldora's kind of out in the middle of nowhere, but yeah, they still travel. It just depends on what time the races get over. It does seem like Eldora, which I think they were maybe one of the first tracks that kind of started doing it when able, but they run such efficient programs anymore. A lot of times you get whacked after the race too. I mean, there's a lot of outlaw races, even the Dream, there's some 10 o'clock nights, 10:30 nights. So you see them, the fans that drove in from hotels, or maybe just drove in not too far, within an hour out, you'll see them stop after the race too. So that's been something that's been a little different just from even 5 or 10 years ago. Used to be Earl, I think, like to keep the fans around a little bit more.
Oh yeah,
like to sell that hot dog.
That's
man.
right. Gotta sell those hot dogs. Keep you busy stacking them back in there.
And I think the world's just changed. My generation below, we bring a lot of bad to this world, but I think our patience and our attention span are not near as much as the older generation, and we don't mind paying a $40 ticket for a 3-hour show. Obviously, as long as it's good product on the track, which typically it is, it's not a bad thing to get home and get some rest and do it again the next day.
Yeah.
And Andrew mentions, being involved with racing still, even though he's maybe not at Eldora, but watching him work at the whistle stop, especially during the Dream, he's helping take orders and everything, so he's interacting. But like the one time I look, and he's sitting in the booth with the people trying to take their order, like he's known them their entire life. So
that's right.
You're like Norm from Cheers, just kind of the racing version.
Well, I don't want to be. That's probably just because I was being lazy, and man, it's a good opportunity to get off your feet for a minute. But yeah, it's a good opportunity to catch up. Even though it's just a few minutes, that goes a long way to a lot of these race fans. And that's,
Oh, it
I
does.
mean, I don't have any data, but it seems like a lot of these race fans, once we get them in the door that first time, we see them year after year after year, which is always cool.
Well, and you mentioned the dingus AJ. That's how I met him. One of the first years I went to Knoxville. Well, it was first year that I turned 21, which is like the third year I went to Knoxville. We was in there. They just come up, start talking to me kind of like that. Oh, I own the place, if you need anything, blah, blah, blah. And we've been friends ever since. So it's kind of the same deal. Like I said, if it's only even a few minutes, we sit down and talk to people, they'll remember that. They're like, hey, that's the owner of the place. They give a shit about us.
Yep. And like I said, they're also understanding. They know you got a packed house, so
yeah.
you can't spend an hour with them, but
Mhm.
like just a few minutes, like you said, goes a long way.
Yeah, and you
We
got
always usually every year we do an event T-shirt.
Yeah.
We started doing one for sprint cars and one for late models, but sell them for $10. Basically, what we got in them. Actually, on, as you probably know, 3X, 2X, probably losing $1 or so.
Yeah,
but it's always pretty neat to go stand on the wall at Eldora. I usually take a pocket full of beer tokens. And if I see somebody walk by with a whistle shirt, I'll just say, hey, and throw them a token. It gets them to come back maybe some other time. But it's just kind of fun. It is quite crazy how many shirts, whistle shirts you see at Eldora and sometimes even other tracks when I go, whether it's this year's version or, 4 years ago's version. So yeah, they definitely, like I mentioned a little bit ago, they support people who support dirt track racing tremendously, and that's cool.
Yeah, so we said after one of the episodes after the dream when I talked to you, you'd mentioned the beer token thing. So
yeah,
we said, on here, we said, hey, if you go to the whistle stop, make sure you buy a shirt, because if you're caught wearing it at the track, you may be, you may get a free beer from it. So
I'm gonna have to move my seat to turn 1 over there. It's usually pretty rowdy on turn 1 up above the terrace, so that way people. Otherwise, I might go broke. Or next time we come down, the whistle will be boarded up.
I know I have mine packed for this week. I wore it. And it's funny because you said other tracks. I wore mine earlier. I don't even remember what track, but it was one I wasn't working with AFCS. So and somebody come up to me like, "Oh man, that's a great place. We stopped there a couple years ago, and we need to go back because it's such a great deal." And I'm like, "Oh, you have to because they sponsor Dirt Nerds. Just tell them they sponsor Dirt Nerds, and it'll be great."
Yeah, so Sure Shot Tap House is it's kind of funny because actually my parents made the trek down to whistle stop, I think, talked to you, and you kind of told them about the tap house thing, and then you ended up sending me a link, so we just started talking about it on the podcast as well as the whistle stop. But really cool idea. I knew there was some inspiration from other places kind of doing the same thing, but with COVID, it was kind of a you had to open up a brand new restaurant in the middle of COVID, which always a fun time, I'm sure. But also, the model of the restaurant actually kind of lends itself to being successful, especially with labor issues right now. But the weird stuff kind of happening, and was it 42, 46 beers or drinks on tap, and you just go get it yourself. And man, what a model! Have you had anyone try all of them yet in one sitting? That's my biggest question.
Not yet. Somebody said we should do a Sure Shot bucket challenge. I'm like, what the hell is that? They said 1 ounce of every tap into a bucket, and if they drink it, they get a free shitty ass T-shirt. I said, I don't think the liquor dicks would be too fond of a 46, especially when some of them are bourbons and stuff. I don't even know if they'd live through that, to be honest with you. But
true.
So yeah, Sure Shot's doing great. We're excited that I think it'll take a few years before a lot of race fans are aware where it is located, and maybe get a chance to enjoy it. The dream wasn't bad by any means, but I think we need to continue to work with the hotels and stuff to try to get people more aware of where it's located downtown Greenville. But definitely a cool concept. Saw it in San Diego. Thought it was really neat. I like craft beer, but I like Busch Light's my beer always go to. But I don't mind trying craft beers, but sometimes I don't want to commit to a $5, $6 pint of something I don't know if I'm going to like. So when I saw that, I thought, man, that is just cool. So did a lot of Googling and, just kind of trying to dig up information on it. And finally we made the decision that we wanted to put something like that in our area. So yeah, 46 taps. there's something for everyone. I didn't want anybody to come in and say, well, I don't like craft. Well, we got domestics. Well, I don't like domestics. We got wines, ciders, seltzers,
Really?
bourbons, cocktails, always changing, almost, especially on the weekends. You might come in on a Friday and then come in on a Saturday. There might be 15 different beers on tap. So the concept's been great. Like you mentioned, with the labor shortages, that was one of the action items was, try to reduce labor a little bit, but now I'm really looking like a genius because there's just nobody can hire anybody right now. So just like you mentioned, you come in, you provide a credit card, you get a pour card, and at that point, total freedom to pour. You can drink 1 ounce or you can drink 10 ounce. It's totally up to you. So it's cool. Like I said, it's cool because you can taste something like, oh, that's awful. Or you can be like, hey, that was pretty good, and fill her up some more.
Yeah, it's when we were laughing because when you mentioned rotating taps, like Dwayne's like gonna have to go like 4 days in a row while he's down at the King's Royal.
I was thinking about going on Friday, but with what he just said, I don't know. I might miss the race.
Yeah, it might not just be 46 taps. I get what you're saying. It might be 60 taps.
Yeah,
some will sneak in on you.
Yeah, I might miss the race.
Yeah, and the cool thing is, even you say you only can, if you want to pour 1 ounce or 2 ounces,
right,
you don't even have to get a full size glass. There's taster glasses and things like that to even kind of, so that way it's like you don't feel like you need to fill up.
Well,
a
I
whole
love
glass.
that idea because, like you said, there's some craft beers that sometimes I see it's like that sounds good, but it might not either. It's like I don't want like you said, I want to spend $5 on a whole pint or $8 on a pint when hey, I can do an ounce. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
We found that we can even throw some pretty crazy kegs on that maybe most restaurants wouldn't do because you just never be able to, burn through it. So we can put a, $130 6-barrel on, which is pretty pricey, but it might be, 12% alcohol, and it might legitly not even price gouging people be a $9, $10, $11 pint.
Right.
But a cool what we're seeing is people want to try it. They might not drink a whole pint, A, because of high alcohol, or B, because of high cost, but they might drink 3 or 4 ounces, and you can still burn through a 6-barrel pretty quick if everybody tries 2 ounces here, 3 ounces there.
Yeah.
So we're able to get real aggressive on what we put on the wall. We put some pretty high-end bourbons on the wall, and yes, there is pour limits, so don't.
Oh man, I was just gonna.
Yeah, 12% alcohol. You don't get a tall glass. Yeah,
oh,
but as long as you are not slobbering on me or spitting on me, I can turn you back on. It's fine.
Yeah, it's good to know there's bourbons because I'm a guy, that like to try different bourbons and whiskeys and stuff, and that is like, it's hard to go to any restaurant that doesn't know them very well to get a bourbon on the rocks or neat, right? Like they're always used to mixing stuff.
Yeah.
And then if it's anything that's of decent quality, it's going to be like $11 just for a glass. So it's that's pretty cool to cover so many different unique likes and tastes and stuff. That's a pretty cool idea.
Heck yeah.
And we even have bottled beer, not a huge selection by any means, but that some people, might get headaches off a craft or draft, excuse me. So we offer bottles, but yeah, there's a winery that's kind of close to us in Eldora. It's called Versailles Winery. And the wife likes wine a lot, but I'm not a huge wine guy. But back in the day, that's all they had. And she'd be like, you want to go to Versailles? And I'm like, not really. Well, finally, they got, a small selection of beer, Bud Light, and Busch Light, and Yuengling, and some others. So now I'll go all the time with her. There's no problem. So that's kind of where my head was, is I didn't want, again, anybody say, I don't want to go to Sure Shot because. So,
right.
Yeah. And so far, I haven't heard any complaints.
Good deal.
Yeah, and I see you got, you'll have your special nights with trivia or some live music and stuff. And sounds like it's a pretty big, place, possible banquet room, if I understand correctly, or at least a little event room.
Yep, there's two. We have 2 venue space events that or areas we can close off. One's about 75, one's about 50, or you can combine them, use them both. The wife handles that. I think she said, we're up to about 40, 45 venue space bookings so far for the remainder of 2020, 2021, but she's booking into 2022. So yeah, that's been real cool. We knew that was going to be an opportunity, but we didn't quite know it's going to be that big. So we're excited about Christmas. Christmas is really starting to fill in. So I think we'll have a lot of holiday parties and stuff. So
Cool.
Yeah.
Sounds like we need a dirt nerds party, Elliot.
Yeah, no
Make it
joke.
happen.
That'd be fun.
We need to get
Can we
fans.
can we get enough people down there? You think?
I think we could.
We'll
I really do think we could.
We'll
if it's 40 to 50 to, I mean,
yeah,
I think we could. I really
yeah,
do.
could be an
If
interesting
it's
time.
the right time, I think we
I'm
could.
hoping it continues to do good. So maybe we can get some more sponsorship out there for some dirt racing. You've been seeing the last few years, you've been seeing some of these alcohol themed sprint cars. And they've been, I tell you what, they've been some slick designs. So I actually reached out last year, maybe it was early this year, and have Blackbeard, which you guys might see them. They do. It was $400. It was probably a waste of money, but I had them design a whistle stop car just so I could see it. Like I've always wanted to own a sprint car team, like every young kid, or maybe even adults, but then I'd be bankrupt, obviously. But who knows? Maybe someday. We're always kind of looking. Sheldon was cool because we had the whole top wing for numerous years, and obviously he got his great opportunity, which can't blame him there. So we're always kind of looking about who that next person might be. I don't know what you're seeing on your end. According to podcast, seems like things are going pretty well, but seems like businesses are starting to get, making some money again, and spending money in whatever their passion is. Like dirt track racing sponsorship seems to be heading the right direction, so that's good.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it makes it a little more challenging for us small businesses as the real estate's starting to get a little more expensive. But
yeah, it is, and like I said on our end, just like with the AFCS series, I mean, we've got the most sponsors we ever had this year. I mean, we're at over between sponsors and products, we're at over $70,000. And then I just tried something new, started last week with this fair race we're doing. It's a 305 race on a Tuesday night at the Sandusky County Fair. And like, nobody's ever done lap money. Nobody ever done what. And in 1 week's time so far, I've got over $2,300 in extras added to that night in August already. And then, like I said, it just boom, it blew up more than I even imagined it would. I thought it'll take me a month to sell these laps, and literally I sold them out in 30 hours.
Yeah, that's awesome. And sometimes it just takes what you do for your series. It just takes, just asking. Like, sometimes we get asked for things, and sometimes we don't. Sometimes I do look hard at like, okay, what series do you run? Where do you go? I like to stay the dirt, and I like to stay close to Eldora. Some of these guys might race Waynesfield or some other smaller tracks where it don't take quite the big engine, which is fine. But sometimes at the end of the day, I got to look at my sponsorship and see if I'm going to get a little bit of bang for my buck. But yeah, it definitely seems like you're seeing even at the outlaw level or late model level. At all levels, honestly, that some of these cars are starting to get decals slapped on them. So it's good.
So how'd your connection with Jack and, obviously Jack, but Sheldon as well, pre-Stenhouse Marshall Racing, or I guess it's just Stenhouse Racing now. But, how'd that connection happen to form that partnership?
Well, I'll go back a little bit, a couple decades, but the reason I fell in love with Eldora, the first time I had a buddy, I was not very old. I had to be 8 years old probably or something, but my buddy's dad asked if I'd like to go to Eldora with them. Now it's back when the historical big one was 4 days. So I went up with them. I can't remember. Kids' ticket prices were next to nothing, or basically maybe even free. I don't remember. But he had a box on the turn 4 wall back then when 4 tickets came with it, if you recall. So I sat there. Outlaws were there. Jack rolled out in the obviously famous Eldon 22 car, and the night happened, and just I fell in love with it. Fell in love with the Pennzoil car, and fell in love with Eldora. They dropped me back off home. Asked my mom, begged my mom if I could go back. Ended up going all 3 days. So that's kind of how she was not happy, because I think it did cost a little bit of money, like maybe like $4 a night. And she's like, I don't know. But so that's kind of when I fell in love. So that continued throughout kind of some of the stories I told you throughout working there or just going there.
That's cool.
And then I was working Eldora ticket office. It was a big race, Kings Royal or something. We always cleared the whole grandstand. So they'd open up at 10 a.m. or whatever they opened up. Or they'd actually keep them open all night, sorry. But we clear at 10 or 11. One of the things I had to do was merchandise row. Sheldon was at his trailer back when he was running the 93. Just talking to him, and he was actually with Zan at the time. They were just stalking or doing whatever they're doing, and we sparked up a conversation. Told him how loved seeing what he was doing, loved hanging out with or watching his dad. And that's kind of how it happened. So asked if he had any opportunities. He gave me, he was quite professional even back then when he was a young kid. He had a packet already developed. So he he sent me the packet with, sponsorship stuff. And then from there, I guess we just worked out a deal and continued it for numerous years until he got that opportunity with Ricky Stenhouse. So one of these days I'll have to send you a text. So Sheldon hooked me up with Ricky. I still got him on my phone. So I text Ricky and he was good. He texts back and forth, and he sent me his pricing diagram. So long story short, I'm not on that car, at least not with him, just with Sheldon. So, so that's kind of how it happened. And he got that. So switched to Jack and then came back. So pretty cool. Sheldon reached out. And I wasn't aware, and I'm sure every team is a little different, but like I mentioned earlier, Sheldon gets 2 spots right behind the driver's seat. It's us, and it's another restaurant or bar. I can't remember where it's at. I think it's out west or something. I forget the name. Orange County something, or you got to take a look at some of the pictures. But that money goes directly to him. When he upsold it to me, he said it was for like fuel for his motorhome, and he get to. So it's pretty cool.
That's
so
cool.
That's and Sheldon especially, and obviously Jack's been racing forever. He's from Ohio. Every Ohio fan loves him.
Every fan loves Jack.
But Sheldon especially, he, around here, we all remember when he was like a 14, 15-year-old kid, and he was racing 360s at Lima Land every week. I mean, that's where he started. He started around here, and then obviously doing the 410 stuff weekly at Fremont and Attica, then the all-star stuff. So our area especially, I think feel like maybe we have a little bit more, my generation anyhow, that special connection with Sheldon.
And that, like you mentioned, when they're at Eldora, especially together, and this will probably be last year potentially for it, but I mean, just the excitement they bring to any Eldora event, it's awesome. And I can't wait to see what the crowd sounds like this year, especially Saturday night, but probably all the nights. But Saturday night, we're most likely to have the biggest crowd. A lot of people, bringing back old memories with the 22 car, and a lot of people knowing this is last year. It's really going to be something special. Like I'm happy that whenever it was at Bristol and whenever they kind of released all that on social media, I got off work. It was pretty early afternoon, like when they did that. And thank God there was no camera in my car or something. I was literally just screaming like when they revealed that car. And then I look into things a little different or a little deeper maybe than most, but I saw there was like 3 or 4 tail tanks and a couple wings. I'm like, oh my God, he's going to run this all year. It's going to be awesome. Yeah. So I was texting Rico earlier in the year, and we talked a little bit, but you could definitely tell something was up because we talked about Jack's car a little bit because it had been announced at that time, but he never really came out. You just got that vibe there was something going on there, but I never thought anything of it. So when that car rolled out of that trailer, obviously a light bulb clicked. I'm like, oh, that's what he was probably referring to. But definitely a lot of mad respect there for Rico. Like, I think a lot of us race fans have been asking for that for years. Just we love to see it, but for him to actually get the wheels moving, and whether he did something financially, whatever he had to do to get that done, that's pretty cool for the sport for sure.
Well, not to mention actually doing the retro scheme with the sponsors. Right. I mean, that's like the weird thing. Usually they'll do the retro theme, but the sponsors aren't, like us people that have been around forever. That's what we remember. We remember all the sponsors and stuff like that. So that's what kind of like you said, just nailed it perfect on the head.
And hopefully you see more of that. Cause I mean, again, I don't know their details, but Pennzoil had to get like, I don't know what the advertising value of that was, but it had to be pretty dang good.
Yeah.
And those t-shirts are going to be floating around now for
forever,
another couple decades.
people's buying them up like crazy. I mean, literally. I mean, I got one, obviously, and I had all kinds of people that's not going, hey, can you get me a Jack shirt? Hey, can you get me a Jack shirt? Hey, I mean, you get that all the time.
Yeah, they better have that trailer loaded up. They better have about flat tires when they roll in, and the products are really good. Obviously, the designs are good. It's what we remember when we were all younger. But they're putting out some nice products, like obviously the wing panels, the mini wing panels, and some flags, and the T-shirt designs look great. So they really, Patty and Jack are going to do pretty well off the Kings Row, I'd say.
I think so too.
So for you, we kind of talked a little about this year and the return, right? Like you said, the Kings Royal is kind of the first true big event, but you know, you got a restaurant, you got the Sure Shot Tap House, obviously down the road. You know, I guess what's it kind of mean? What are you anticipating, you know, for this week coming up? You know, just like you said, you're staffed up, you've done as much as you can, but I guess, you know, what are you really anticipating and what you kind of feeling? Do you feel different than last year, obviously, right?
Yeah. So there's been some things happening around our area. You might have heard of a few, I don't know, but Poultry Days and Sales is a big chicken poultry festival. It was huge. Antonio 4th of July, which is where the Whistle's at. It's a small thing, don't get me wrong, but it was huge. Country concert was last weekend.
Yeah, that's right.
It was, I mean, they were posting, they were selling out, which I've went when I was younger. I mean, you could fit so many people there. Like, I don't, but a lot of my friends who were there, I saw a lot of Snapchat stuff, huge. So a little nerve wracking. Luckily, we could only fit so many people, I guess. But I'm expecting it to be fall suit. I think people were so confined last year and want to do these things, just weren't allowed. Well, Eldora couldn't do them because people still would have win, I think. But so this year it doesn't matter if gas is $4 a gallon. It doesn't matter if tickets are $60 a ticket. They're going. And that'll eventually, I think, slow down, but it ain't going to slow down this year. So we're excited. I think my biggest concern would be the Wednesday. You know, I don't have no data on that. When are the race fans going to roll in compared to a normal year? What's that Wednesday going to look like? So we just staffed heavy, or like a normal Thursday, Friday, Saturday. That way we want to make sure, I understand that race fans are going to support us because we support dirt track racing, but at the end of the day, we still got to do what we got to do, right? And that's provide great food, great service. One thing that has been changing also over the last few years is our carry out. So a lot of race fans have been ordering online or calling it in, you know, maybe 2 pizzas, 3 pizzas, 5 pizzas, or whatever the food they order, and taking it back to the campers. That's really been growing, which is good. So when you have a slamming inside and then a strong drive through during a race weekend, that creates some more challenges. So been keeping a close eye on that because that can compromise the experience inside the 4 walls a little bit.
Yeah, and that's a cool thing. I've, you know, being at, you're nice enough to sponsor us and support us. We obviously try to support you, but I've tried to order and experience the whistle stop in every way possible. I've ordered online, I've ate inside. You know, I've drove up to the window. I guess I haven't gotten drinks to go yet. Maybe that's my next visit. I don't know, but you know, everything's gone smoothly and everything works well. You know, you can save a couple bucks when you order online, so that's always cool. And I mean, yeah, it's my new favorite place to go down when I go to Eldora now, for sure.
Well, and see, you're going to be slammed this week because we talk about it all the time. So there's got to be at least 5 Dirt Nerd fans that's going to go there. I mean, maybe 6.
Hey, that's as long as they all spend $500 a piece.
There you go.
I was gonna say, Duane, we can joke about nobody listening to our podcast, just not when the sponsors.
That'd be okay. No, I actually know a lot. There's a big group of us that if everybody goes is talking about, we should have a pretty big group going in that. Well, like Jay Kaiser and all them's never been there. Chad Wilson and all them that we all
racers.
Yeah, we're all planning on going. So
the nice thing about what the weather's looking like, minus, you know, there's a little uncertainty with the rain, but temperature wise, you know, we'll be able to utilize our whole patio, which typically for the Kings Royal, you don't get to utilize any of it. So that'll help us out a little bit too. World, you know, the patio is pretty popular, but Kings Royal, like I said, usually it's too damn hot. So
yeah. So what are your hours? I mean, how late are you open during Kings Royal week here?
So we open at 7. We open at 7, and then we're open typically to 1. It does kind of vary. Like, so especially the nights when I'm up there, see how the program's running. If it's dead at midnight and they're still got the B main, they're on a B main or something, you know, and they're like, I might let them go because there ain't no way people are going to get there. But by the time the A main gets over there and they get out to the parking lot and all that. So, but yeah, that's kind of our posted hours. So, but we kind of do just communicate back and forth a little bit.
Cool.
Yeah. Right. And like Andrew said, if A main's coming out or halfway through the A main, you can always get online and try to order it in and have the pizza on your way home, right on the drive-up window. Not even have to get out of your car.
I know. That's good. So,
Yeah, for the 2020 race season, we had the website ready to go to deliver to Eldora. We were going to make an attempt. Staffing was a lot better then. I worked with Jonathan Bateman, which does Eldora's website. He does a lot of my stuff for me. So we had a plan in action. I know it could go over probably stupidly well. You probably had to dial it in a little bit, or maybe only offer certain products but I know all the campgrounds like the back of my hand. I mean, the seat or the camping maps they got are obviously really good too, so that would help. But thought it'd be maybe an opportunity to get our name out there a little bit more. You'll see my car out there. I buy a campsite for all the big races, and I just park it out there, just try to drive up some business. So we'll see. This year it's not going to happen for sure with labor shortages and but I think it'd be kind of cool to run the Whistlemobile through the parking lot,
I think
all afternoon delivering pizzas.
That's a gold mine. Let me put it that way.
I'm going to say that thing
oh my God. have them ready in the trunk.
Yeah,
there's 15-inch pizzas in the trunk, pepperoni.
Yeah, you'd probably sell them for $30 a pop.
Exactly.
I guarantee if you take one, you better have 10.
If you see a campsite with 3 or 4 campers, a bunch of people, dudes without shirts on, Bud Light, Bush Light cans, hats backwards, cargo shorts. You walk in there and you say, "I got pizzas for $30." They'll say, "How many?" Because I want them all. That's how that'll work.
A beer cart.
You're right.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Probably our campsite.
Another thing I wanted to ask you about. I just don't know anything about it. Obviously, it was before me and you connected, but it's been a couple of years ago now. Was it a King of Hearts thing you guys were doing, or part of
Queen of Hearts?
Yeah,
it was pretty crazy. So that was one of the things we started up just to try to fill the dining room, on Thursday night. So
I would say, it's funny because you said Ansonia is this little town of 1,100 people. I think like the final night of that thing, there was 3 times the population, all at your restaurant.
Yeah, I with Jonathan Bateman's help, they track a lot of that stuff at Eldora, which they have ticket software system that can help, obviously, but he knows the formula of how many people can stand in a square foot. So the estimate there was about probably 28 to 30,000 people showed up for that drawing.
Wow.
And if you look at some of the pictures on the website, it's got to be damn close. But it started off small. Kings Royal of that year, and that's 2017, really pumped a lot of money into it. The race fans had fun with it, and it just kept getting bigger through the coming months. November, but the winner took home good for all the local charities in our town, and obviously it was good to get our business on the map. But yeah, it was quite the event. All them years, I never thought it would come in handy, but all the years working at Eldora, tearing tickets, picking up trash, stocking beer, all those things, paid dividends finally. So thank you, Earl, for that.
Yeah. So I don't even know, I guess, what was is it just like a progressive jackpot type thing?
Basically, it's a deck of 54 cards that's hidden on a board. Tickets are $1 a piece. You can buy however many you want. And so you just put your name on a ticket and where you thought the Queen of Hearts was. So every week we pull one name out, and then we cut out the number that's revealed to us. So it's all the bars around here do it.
Yeah.
There's a local bar, E&R's. Went down to last Friday. There was like 25,000, but just a way to drive business. Sometimes you get lucky though, and then the boards go on until the end.
So how big was the jackpot on yours when it ended?
Well, it was getting a little out of control, so we started capping it about halfway. So anything over 200,000, we paid out in $2,000 increments. So the most envelopes we paid out in 1 week was 119. So that's $2,000 a piece. So me and Roger Slack, we text back and forth. We got a pretty good relationship. He's the GM at Eldora, but I think it was a World last year. The winner took home 83,000, 89,000 or something, 50-50 winner.
Yeah.
And I said, I'd give him a hard time. I said, not bad, but I just want to remind you, the whistle stop one night was 119,000. 119,000 to the winner in one night at the Queen of Hearts. Pretty crazy.
You gonna do that again anytime soon?
We're still doing it. It's got smaller. We kind of purposely, it's $3. It's 3 tickets for $5 now. We knew that would drive it down, but we still get a nice crowd. We've had some boards that were 60 grand, 20 grand. It just depends. Some boards will go out 4th card. It's just luck, Obviously that board that year went down to about the end, which allowed it to get all the way as high as it did.
That's one good thing I don't live closer, because I would I'd be spending way too much money there if I lived closer. I'm just telling you. I'm still thinking about driving up to the next one.
Oh, I just got a text from Sheldon. He just sent me a video promotion for the Facebook or Whistle Facebook page, so you'll be seeing that come out.
Awesome.
Cool.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. That's one thing, with social media. I'll say anytime I post, especially when I visit the Whistle Stop, if I post pictures of food, that gets so much traffic on our social media. Obviously, we're pushing people towards the Whistle Stop, but
look at us. They know we know.
Yeah, it's true. If you look at us, we're qualified. But that's one thing. The like you mentioned earlier, the product, right? It's one thing to have the experience, but the product's got to be there as well. And you've carried some of that stuff over to the Sure Shot Tap House as well, as far as menu items and such. But I guess, are you a culinary expert by any means, and how do you kind of keep all that going?
Not really. Just made a shit ton of cheeseburgers and chicken wings at Eldora, but
that's right. So
the neat thing about the Whistle is, you can. It's a mom and pop shop. You could argue that it's bar food, which I understand it is. But like the star tenderloins we make in house, bread them in house, mushrooms in house, pizza sauce in house. The list goes on and on. And I think that's where you have additional prep costs, but I think that's where the quality comes out to the customer. So, we talk about could we do a little nicer dinners, stuff like that. But I think it goes back to the conversation we had earlier regarding kind of knowing your roots and accept who you are. And I'm not saying not throwing a brisket dinner out there once in a while or something different out there, but I think we just want to try to stick to our roots. It's what we're known for. People love our fresh cheese or hamburgers or cheeseburgers, all fresh meat. So that's what we're good at. So we're going to stick with it.
Yeah, don't change that. See, I'm, of course, around here, there's a lot of little bars like that, and I frequent those places a lot. I understand what you're saying, and I didn't get this size from not going to those places.
Well, and like I said, whenever I post pictures on our social media, from Whistle Stop, someone always mentions or says best pizza I've ever had. Can't wait to go eat their pizza again. We go every year, multiple times for the pizza. I mean, your pizza's like huge reputation.
In all honesty, I know of a handful of people that I've talked to that's went because they've heard us talk about it or posted on Dirt Nerds. Mm-hmm. In all seriousness, there's a group a couple weeks ago behind us at Waynesfield talking about, it's like, oh yeah, we went down there and had pizza and had this and had that, and and it was when the Outlaws was down there earlier in the year. They talked about they went stopped there. So it does. I know there is people that's actually stopping from what we post of pictures of food. I know that for a fact.
Good deal. Well, we'd like to hear that.
Where did the pizza recipe come from? Anywhere special, or was it kind of handed down?
It's handed down. Yep. They gave me the recipe. We make it in 5-gallon buckets with different ingredients, and I have a big DeWalt mixer. Nothing special. We plug it in and mix it up. So we got plenty of 5-gallon buckets of pizza sauce ready for this week. So we're ready to rock and roll, I think.
That's good.
Excellent.
Cool. Well,
and Bloody Marys. Bloody Marys are ready. We're ready to go.
That's awesome. Well, anything else you got, Duane?
I don't.
Andrew, anything else you want to? Whistlebarngrill.com, SureShotTapHouse.com.
Yep, you hit it all. I just appreciate the opportunity to join your podcast, and I appreciate all the support of all the dirt track fans and obviously all our customers throughout the year too. But race season is always fun. Locals even love it. They'll sit up there and bullshit with you guys, and that's what makes it fun too.
Oh yeah, definitely.
We didn't talk